George cut his hair. And George Nutt said, now, this is your first time in this shop, and I just want to cut your hair for free. And J.W. said, no, let me tell you something. He said, no, I want to do it free. And he said, no, I want to give you something. Let me tell you something. He said, well, just give me a nickel. And he said, well, no, I need to do more than that. And George Nutt says, no, you just give me a nickel. If you don't want to do that, I'll just come hear you preach Sunday. And J.W. said, I'll have you know I don't preach any nickel sermons. And George Nutt said, that's all right, I'll come Sunday morning and Sunday night. J.W., I found, is admired not only in Vienna and in this association, but really all over where the Baptists have ministers and those who hear him and the people who love him. In fact, I heard recently of a young man who just finished seminary, and he came to J.W. and he said, I want to be a success in this ministry. I want to rise to the top. I want to be the very best that I can be. How can I do it? I need your advice. J.W. thought for a moment, and he said, well, that's easy. He said, just pattern yourself after me. He said, do everything that I do, and you'll be a success. So this is what the young boy did. He threw away all of his ties and he bought a lot of sports shirts. He bought an old antique car. The carburetor wouldn't carburate, the generator wouldn't generate, and the pistons wouldn't work either. They finally got him at least. I'm going to do everything J.W. Wallace does. He bought himself a truck that wouldn't crank. He borrowed a set of jumper cables. He planted a garden that wouldn't grow. And he began preaching overtime. He started putting a nickel in the collection plate. He gave his congregation a good nap every Sunday. It was truly a day of rest. The young preacher was well loved, just like J.W. Well, the church loves J.W. Wallace. I understand that y'all have given him some mighty fine gifts. In fact, I heard George mention to me that you wanted to honor him, and last Christmas you gave him a cemetery plot. And I said, Herb, that's wonderful. I said, a fellow always needs a cemetery plot, and I think that says a great deal about the love that you have for him. And Herb said, yeah, but the committee got together and we decided this year we're not going to give him anything because he hadn't used what we gave him.
I'm not the only one that upholds all my pastor. Now, right after he came here, one fellow walked to him about the third Sunday. Brother Wallace says, I like your preaching. He said, Brother Johnny took him 40 minutes to say nothing. He said, you can do it in 20 minutes. Brother John Bonner, been our Sunday school teacher for a long time. He's a great scholar of the Bible. We enjoy him much. But I have always noticed not only the Bible, but he is a great student of history, even ancient history. He uses a lot of it when he teaches. He teaches a lot of it. But they tell me that he missed a question. He really goofed one time. They asked him on a history examination, what was the two biggest sports of ancient history? Brother Sims, what was that? Brother John answered, Mark Anthony and Cleopatra. I'm going to give you a minute to relax. All these other fellows been getting up there pulling out notebooks and everything like that. That's all I've got. I'm going to give you a moment to relax here. And I'm going to tell you this, too.
can't take Flip Wilson's excuse that the devil made me do it. Robert me.
It's the same. It's the same.
And they've been ribbing you about your old cars, and I'm not going to say a word about anything, hardly a word about those old cars. Anyhow, I did go by your house the other day, and that Oldsmobile you parked out there 5 years ago that you told me you would show me when you got it restored, the thing of beauty, it's got 5 more years of rust. Right in the same spot where it was the first time I saw it. But I'm not going to talk about your old car, but now this Richard's gardening is something else. That's something else. We mentioned Bobby Keeson a while ago. I wish Bobby could be here because Bobby said that preacher was going all over town bragging about he had iced potatoes. He was going out and digging around his iced potato plants, digging up nut grass, and he thought it was I helped turn one of the first shovels full of dirt when we broke ground for that place over there, and I turned up a solid shovel full of that grass. And every time I go over there outside, Willie's the best housekeeper in town because I look for it to be coming up through the carpet, and I haven't found any yet. I don't see how to work at it all the time. But I was by there last week, and Jody was giving me a guided tour of the carport. And she was saying, this is Jason, this is Jeffrey, and this is mine. And she threw in bits of information like Jeffrey's my brother and I'm his sister. And all kinds of things I was finding out like that. And a few days, some time ago, J.W. had asked me how I made my vegetables grow and what he could do. And I said, go by and get you a sack of ammonium nitrate. That's what it takes really to make vegetables grow. So Jody came to a place there and she said, this is Daddy's. And there was a sack of ammonium nitrate. Never had been over. I forgot to tell you, Jody. Years ago, I was coming out the side door after the service. Lady in front of me walked up to J.W. and shook hands with him. She said, J.W., you really are a warm preacher. And I thought that was an unusual thing to say about a preacher. And I went home, I asked Vivian, what does that lady mean, a warm preacher? I don't know. So look it up in the dictionary. And sure I looked up and said, warm, not so hot. David said, that lady knew what she was talking about. Don't let her say anything over there. I've been waiting 40 years. Just for that, I'll tell you about, we were in a furniture store not long ago and baby wanted a chair. She liked the word that for sale on the desk. She looked at every chair in the place, didn't like it, and finally she got one of the real modern chairs and she plopped down in it and stayed there a minute, and we walked on by and got off from it. She said, hey, I'm stuck on this chair. Thelma said, I'm glad you found it, but I don't know you like it. Some mention's been made by J.W. getting his announcements mixed up here, but one to be all that I haven't figured out yet. We're having trouble about crowding going out one particular door. over there and kind of jostling each other and all. So J.W. said, if each one of you'll just stay in your seat till everybody else is out, we'll quit the traffic. Some mention made about J.W. and money, that he doesn't preach about money. I might be able to explain that. A fellow from my IRS called J.W. and said, I've got here a claim, a return that says that this man contributed $1,000 to your church last year. Said, can you verify it? J.W. said, well, don't worry about it. I don't have the record here right now. But I tell you what, if he didn't, he will. There's been a lot of mention about J.W. in the house and Willeen in the house over there. Willeen got aggravated with J.W. about ants being in the kitchen all the time. And so she finally told me he had to do something about it. So he went and sprinkled sugar in the bathroom. J.W., they've talked about your sermons. I never did tell you this. I wasn't going to ever mention it to you.
Have your chance.
I was sitting by a fellow one time, and he looked like he was mighty restless during a long sermon. But this fellow particularly restless. He just turned from one side to the other. He flipped the pages of the songbook. He sighed soulfully a lot of times. J.W. finished a real long sermon that morning. So we noticed that J.W. got in the pulpit with a Band-Aid on his chin. He said, as he finished the sermon, that I forgot to explain this Band-Aid on my chin here. Said this morning I was thinking about my sermon and I cut my chin. And the old fellow said to me, I wish he'd have been thinking about his chin and cut his sermon.
I always talk about the language preaching that, especially when it's not around. They always wonder what they say when they hit the fingers and all that. They was working on that one of them, what you call them, remains that he had a while back, and everybody take 3 or 4 minutes, he'd say, Hoover! Hoover! When he looked at it, what you talking about, Hoover? He said, that's the biggest dam in the country. Some folks you can't, I always try to hold back and not say anything about it, but I couldn't say something good about it. That's always been the way, what they call manners a long time ago. If you can't say anything, I started not to say anything about our next roaster here, but I happened to think about something he was good about it. James Warburton is a level-headed person. If you don't believe him, watch him when he chews tobacco and juice runs out both sides.
But I've always enjoyed talking with J.W. on numerous occasions whenever the opportunity would arise. One of the, right after he first came, the vine I run into one of his members. And they were talking about, I'm not going to, Robert, it wasn't. And I was asking about J.W. I had not heard him preach or anything, and I was really wanting to
find out a little bit about him, and he said, you know, he's just a model preacher, just a model preacher. I said, well, I don't know. I didn't show him ignorance. I really didn't know what he meant, so I didn't ask him. I went home, I asked my wife. I said, I asked a fellow today in Vienna, what kind of preacher did he was? One said he was a model preacher. So she said, well, don't you know the definition of model? I said, well, no, not right off. She said it's a small imitation of the real thing. And you know, I watched over the years since J.W. has been here, and you know, that's a pretty good definition of J.W. It's an imitation of the real thing. You know, I get amazed at small children. If you listen to them, they'll tell you a lot. And undoubtedly, J.W. talks constantly to his children. One of them was in school, and they was in a discussion with one of Dr. Vasco's children and one of Judge Hardy Gregory's children. And they was talking about, they were discussing which one made the most money or held the most money. And Dr. Vasco's little child told me that in just a few minutes was just a slip of the knife that they'd pick up $1,500 and no trouble at all. And Judge Drager's little child was telling about how quick her dad could pick up several $100 just handling one case, getting up and telling a few lies. But J.W.'s little child listened to what each one of these was saying, and he wasn't going to be outdone. And I know that he'd been listening to his daddy talk. He said, well, my daddy can get up and talk for 10 minutes. They said it takes 4 men to carry the money out.